One of the main factors that defines us are the people who are around us. When you write a story, one of the most important things to focus on is the relationship between your characters. If the people around your MC feel unrealistic, the way your MC develops won't feel realistic either. Plus, the psychology based on whether or not someone was raised in a group or family, got into touch with their friends, or had no one at all is very nuanced. Which brings us to these three. Lyney, Lynette, and Freminet are all incredibly well written, especially as a group. Their family, raised as siblings, and their relationship feels real. Their connection is clear early on, and you know when one is near, the others are likely close behind. These three check all the boxes for an amazing feeling relationship. So, how does genshin write their dynamics so well, and how can we use their techniques to improve our own writing? Let's see. So let's for Fontaine Arcane quests as well as Lyney and Arlecchino story quests. Before we get into it, as always, your quick reminder to like and subscribe. I make a ton of videos just like this one every week examining Genshin's story. If you'd like to have a say in the videos I make, check out the poll in my community tab after this video. And if you want to join a community of other lore enjoyers and just nice people, check out the Discord. Everyone there is super nice and really into art and storytelling. It's just a great group of people all into gaming and stories. A quick disclaimer, these tips can be used for writing any relationship, and yes, that includes romantic. However, do not take me as saying that the relationship I'm talking about today is anything but platonic. These writing tips may be universal, but these three are siblings. I do not condone incest, biological, or adopted. But enough of that, let's talk about writing relationships. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the most fundamental piece in all relationships, be it family, friends, romantic partners, even rivals. And that is, make sure there are two characters. At its core, a relationship is a transactional thing. Ideally, that transaction is two people supporting each other. I'll get back to this later. But for a transaction to work at all, there needs to be a minimum of two parties. In order for a relationship to feel real, the characters need to have their own personalities. If some guy in real life was dating a cardboard cutout of a woman, we'd look at him like he's insane. But unfortunately, some relationships and stories play out this way. Not the Lyney trio, fortunately. To explain why, I'll briefly summarize their main trait and internal struggle. If you're not sure of your character's depth, listing these two things and at least one being different is a good way to determine a baseline of how similar your characters are. 1. Lyney. Lyney's main trait is his interest in magic. His main internal struggle is learning to accept that he will one day take Arlecchino's place, and him learning to live up to that. 2. Lynette. Lynette's main trait is that she's not a fan of people. Her main internal struggle is keeping her family together, especially after nearly being separated from Lyney. And 3. Freminet. His main trait is being shy. His main internal struggle is similar to Lynette's in wanting to protect his family. Lyney also has this struggle, but it's slightly more in the background. So isn't this bad? Lynette and Freminet share a struggle, wanting to protect their family. Well, normally it could be. Let me explain why not. There are two things that make it okay for Freminet and Lynette's goals to be so similar. One is the way they got the motivation. Lynette got it after she was nearly separated from Lyney, and Freminet got it after being abandoned by his mother. But they developed this love for their family after a common experience, being rescued by Arlecchino. The way a child is raised impacts them throughout life. Since Lynette and Freminet shared this experience, they associate the house as a hearth family with safety. As for the other reason, it's the way they deal with it. In Arlecchino's story quest, Freminet tries to keep Lyney and Lynette out of danger by keeping Clairvy a secret, whereas Lynette, in the same quest, makes them includers so they can work as a team. With these differences, though they have the same struggle, they still feel different enough for it to work. And again, Lyney also has this struggle and is abundantly clear, but he just has another struggle to focus on. But basically, before you develop the relationship, develop the people. Another thing that these three do really well is their dynamics. Once you set up two well-written characters, you can start having some fun with them. How do their personalities play off each other? Why are they close in the first place? How do they help or inhibit each other? Playing around with the dynamics of your characters is how you can get unique connections. With Lyney and Lynette in particular, there's an interesting connection there. Lynette is the quiet one, Lyney the more public, put-together figure, and yet it's Lynette who keeps them grounded. People often point at the symbols on their cheeks. Lyney is a tear, Lynette's a star, a representation of their inner selves and of each other. Throughout their stories, we can see how much they care for each other, whether in the Arcane quest, story quests, or even Lynette's hangout. When it comes to Freminet, they see him as their little brother, always trying to cheer him up. Freminet is more in the background and seems less connected to Lyney and Lynette, but they're aware of this, always trying their best to make him feel involved. They love their family and have the heart that can bond with Freminet and everyone else to always protect it. That brings us to their bond. Connections must form for a reason. This feels like it should be obvious, but so few stories give their friends real reason to, be friends. Family relationships are easier to pull off, but there needs to be something there. For Lyney, Lynette, and Freminet, it's their shared experiences of growing up as child soldiers in the House of the Hearth. Now it comes to one of the fun parts in writing relationships, deciding what that connection is going to be. Don't overcomplicate it. It can be something like sharing a hobby, taking the same class, or in this case, being related. But also, don't be afraid to deviate from those. In a story that I wrote, two of my main characters bonded because they shared a desk in a class with a bad teacher. They were able to bond over complaining about her, and this grew into a much deeper connection. Playing around with the reasons behind a relationship can be just as important as developing the characters in that relationship. Another thing you can keep in mind is that relationships are inherently transactional. The word transactional sounds a little cynical though, so let me explain. When we form relationships, we hope to gain something from the other party. In positive, healthy relationships, that's socialization, companionship, connection, etc. Just because a relationship is, quote, transactional doesn't make it bad. Remember, the saying, friendship is a two-way street? But anyway, where this gets interesting is how you write it in. Play around with that transaction. Does one party make more than the other, or all the profit? Does this transaction only exist because they have no one else to buy from? Does one only purchase from the other when needed, or is it an equal trade? Keep in mind that healthy relationship and writing don't all have to be the equal street. There's others you could do. Want to try to write interesting dynamics? I look at types of transactions, especially financial ones, for inspiration. It sounds obscure, but I'll be honest, when you apply the transactional relationship mindset, you get some very interesting dynamics. So, away from my little idea spout, let's look at lessons that can be learned from Lyney and Lynette. 1. Start with the individual. For a relationship to feel real, each character must be distinct and have their own personality, traits, and internal struggles. Before focusing on the relationship, clarify each character's defining traits and motivations. For instance, if two characters share a similar goal, like protecting family, ensure that they have different approaches or reasons for that goal. This adds depth and prevents the relationship feeling one-sided or shallow. 2. Use their goals and where they come from to distinguish them. Shared goals or motivations are fine if the reasons behind them are distinct. For example, Lynette and Freminet both want to protect their family, but their motivations differ based on their unique backgrounds and experiences. If multiple characters share similar drives, give them each a unique backstory or experience that shapes how they pursue that goal. This will make them feel like individuals, even if their motivations overlap. 3. Play with dynamics. Once you have well-developed characters, explore how their traits complement, challenge, or support each other. Dynamics between characters should be shaped by their personalities and histories. Think about how one character's strength counterbalance another's weakness. For instance, a quieter character may bounce on a more outspoken one by keeping them grounded. And if you don't like it, remember it's just a draft, you can always change things around later. 4. Ground the connections. A strong bond typically forms from shared experiences, like growing up in the same environment or facing similar struggles. Give characters a foundational reason for their connection. This can be a shared interest, a significant experience, or even a family bond. Don't overcomplicate it. Small, relatable reasons like taking the same class or surviving a challenge together can foster believable relationships. 5. Understand relationships as transactional. Relationships often involve an exchange, whether that's emotional support, companionship, or a shared goal. Understanding this balance can help create realistic dynamics. For example, one sibling might rely more on the other for emotional support, like Freminet and Lyney, which simply defines the power dynamic between them. This doesn't mean all relationships need to be balanced. Sometimes some uneven give and take creates compelling tension. 6. Actually show their bond. Instead of overtly stating the strength of a relationship, demonstrate it through habits, actions, and small gestures. Ask yourself, why does this bond exist? What compelled it to form, and even more, to stay together? Incorporate small details that reflect the character's closeness. A character might know the other's preferences without asking, or they might defend each other in subtle ways. Showing these little moments can make the relationship feel authentic and deep without overt exposition. 7. Use conflict to strengthen or challenge bonds. Healthy relationships aren't free from conflict. Characters may have disagreements, misunderstandings, or even jealousy, but these conflicts often reveal and reinforce their connection. Allow characters that have differences and even arguments to feel organic to their relationship. If two siblings disagree over how to protect their family, show their unique perspectives that deepen their connection as they resolve the conflict. 8. Avoid cardboard cutout syndrome. Relationships feel stale when one character exists only to support or react to the other. Each character needs to have autonomy and a life beyond the other. Give characters, relationships, goals, and perspectives outside of their primary connection. This keeps the relationship from feeling codependent or one-dimensional. So yeah, that's about it. If you made it to the end, make sure to like and sub. Or if you had any different thoughts, let me know. Were there any other relationships you think were well written or bad ones you want to see addressed? Was Lyney and Freminet relationship well done or not? Let me know, I'm very interested to hear. Make sure to check out my community tab to vote on the next video. With that, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are, and hope to see you in the next one.